It's concept artist in the traditional form, but you're really developing it in a way that becomes a new skill set and a new job title in itself.
I don't really know what I am anymore. I hold the belief that concept artists won't remain as we are. I think we'll have a more 3D generalist sort of outlook in a few years' time. I don't know any concept artist that doesn't use 3D anymore. My name is Ellie Cooper. I am the creative director and founder of Athena Productions, which is a concept art studio. But primarily I started off as a freelance concept artist, and I've worked for companies such as Disney, NPC, Sony, Ubisoft, Apple TV, Paramount Pictures, all sorts of people, even KFC. So I've worked for a real number of people. So that's primarily what I do. But probably my defining feature is that I use Unreal Engine for concept art.
What was the KFC? Was it a commercial, I guess?
Yeah, it was a Christmas commercial in Shanghai. It was an interesting one to work on. Hold on. So just let me chuck my cat out.
Oh, can we have a look at the cat? I love cats. Oh my gosh, so cute. What's the cat's name?
Kuro.
What about your background and education? How did you get into the industry and that type of thing?
Well, when I first found out about digital art, it was through seeing a picture on the internet of a horse jumping over a waterfall, and I went to my dad and I said, "How does somebody do that?" And he said, "Well, they use Photoshop," and he had a spare disc lying around when they used to be on discs.
Of course, yeah.
I was playing with Photoshop, trying to reproduce the same image, trying to figure out how they did it. And then I realized I needed a tablet. Ever since then, I've been just working digitally. I worked on that. And then at 18, I went to Northampton University and I went to do 3D games art. I kept going back to concept art. And when I graduated from that, I just started out doing freelance work.
Was it just straight up Photoshop in those days then, were you used to?
Yeah. I don't think I started using 3D until I went to university. I had no idea what everyone was using, 3ds Max, blew my brains. I had no idea how to use it. I think I produced some really awful 3D during that time.
When you was at university, was it something that you saw other people using and then you thought you'll implement and learn a 3D package?
Well, they were teaching 3ds Max there. So I kind of had to learn it. And when they showed us how to use ZBrush, ZBrush, I still use it to this day. I absolutely loved it. It felt a lot more artistic to me. I know some people either love it or hate it, but I found it really artistic and really intuitive. I started to implement it into my concept art workflow, and that really helped. What
was your sort of breakthrough story into, the industry, or what was the first few projects that you worked on?
Well, that's a good question. I really didn't have many ones that I can speak about now. Some of them are still under development.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I was really lucky to have got picked up by Goodbye Kansas for a little while. They're awesome. That studio, they're incredibly nice people and they're just great all round. They're really talented, and I was really lucky to be with them for about a year, working on different projects. So I was really fortunate there. What
about the Athena Productions? Was that something that you sort of set up early on after university, or is that a fairly recent thing?
Yeah, so Athena was set up in 2021. So we've been going for about a year and a bit now. So that was primarily set up because I was getting more and more busy with my Unreal Engine concept artwork, and people were asking for it more and more, and I just couldn't meet demand anymore. So like any sane person, I started hiring people.
Brilliant.
And then I just formed Athena around it. I think I surprised myself how much I've just loved running a team and having a business and, just dealing with all that side of it. It definitely feels for me. I love it.
Tell us a little bit about how you discovered and when you discovered Unreal Engine, and what was it like dipping your toe into it for the first time? And
I think it must have been back in 2014, 15. I'd seen it on the internet, and once again went to my dad and asked him if I could download Epic's Unreal Engine, and he had to take the PC into work because the internet was so slow and couldn't deal with downloading it. So he took a little laptop into work and downloaded it for me, and I just started started playing with it, and it was really great even back then. I can't even remember what version it must have been then, and I kind of just stuck with it through the years up until now. I use different programs in the middle of that, like Blender and Octane and all these other bits and pieces, but I never found anything that was quite like Unreal Engine. That was a real game changer for me. Is like I don't really want to be struggling or having to render out to see an issue.
Sure.
You know, that's really aggravating when you get to the end of it and it's rendered for 6 hours and suddenly you see you see something out of place and you have to do it all over again. Unreal Engine's not like that.
When you was using Unreal Engine, was that on an actual project, or did you just start to kind of use it in your spare time to just see what it was all about and how you could implement that into your professional work?
Yeah, so probably the first major piece that I used it on to great effect was my Forgotten Temple one, I think it's called. It was a more Egyptian piece, and it actually got picked up by Epic Games' Instagram team.
Oh, amazing.
You know, and after that, it all seemed to just kind of take off. You know, and that was the first major piece where I thought, this is incredible for concept art. I think I did 80% of it in 3D, and I only overpainted a little bit. And I thought, well, if I can do this, you know, with not tons of knowledge, then, you know, what can I do when I have tons and tons of knowledge, you know? And that was really exciting. And the fact that I can grow with it, you know, that I could do short films is really exciting. And I think that's great that you're not just limited to one field with it. And that's kind of the cool bit as well, that I can show clients different lighting scenarios, but also different weather scenarios. Like most of them get, you know, they're blown away when they see concept art that has different weather scenarios because they haven't asked for it, you know, and that's always really, really fun to be able to do.
You mentioned earlier about having the ability to explore small animations and scenes and camera moves and things. Is that something that you've been doing a lot of?
I've kind of started off doing, you know, static scenes and just learning about that side of it and starting to push it more. And very recently I did the fellowship that kind of finished a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago. So just come off of that.
That's intense, isn't it, out here?
Yeah, I needed a long weekend after that one.
Sure.
Yeah, so it was mostly the idea that I wanted to create a heist room that a load of people are getting ready to do a heist.
Nice.
But
looks great.
Whoever owns this, you know, the boss in charge is incredibly wealthy from doing all of this stealing. So, you know, only rich people can afford a T-Rex skull. Was there a
specific theme or asset pack that you were given to create these?
Yeah, so they give a random dice roll for you. You roll the dice, and it's super random, and it's like a Dungeons and Dragons, you know, you got to just assign your numbers that you rolled and kind of see what you get. That was brilliant. A lot of fun. With that one, I was pushing my realism. You know, all these different projects that I do are trying to build up to a bigger whole, and I'd love to do a short film at some point this year that I can release and enjoy, and then start building up to bigger and bigger, as that's what I'd love to do. And I've always loved to kind of tell stories, and that's my ultimate goal, to do that with Unreal Engine. I think you're more than capable, you know, with a team of one. I reckon you could create a really lovely short if you have the right eye, the right look, and the right assets. You know, you don't need a team of 200 anymore.
So we've got on here, you've worked on the Halo TV series. Is there anything that you can talk about what you did on there? I'm not sure if you can show anything.
Yeah. So I can't show anything.
That's fine.
Denied.
I got to use Unreal Engine, and I think I got my director on the phone and on a call, and we were just trying to look around the scene. You know, I had this huge, vast desert, and that was kind of the beauty of it, that I had this whole expansive environment, and then I had these, I think they were like oil rigs or something in the far distance, and I could kind of zoom the camera along as though we were driving along the road to kind of figure out how close or how far back I wanted the shot. And that was really, really cool to be able to do that. And I think that was one of the first times that I really capitalized on telling people that I used Unreal Engine for the shot. And that was really interesting, seeing people's reaction to it, because I don't think I knew what I was using or what I had at that point, and that was very cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because it's not, like you said earlier when we first started talking, it's like it's concept artist in the traditional form, but you're really taking it to, you know, using new tools and developing it in a way that becomes a new skill set and a new job title in itself. It's hard to say, you know, you're a concept artist. You are, of course, but you're really doing a lot more than just concept art, you're scouting, you're exploring, you're giving the clients a lot more than just standard concept art.
I don't really know what I am anymore.
Yeah.
I hold the belief that concept artists won't remain as we are. I think we'll have a more 3D generalist sort of outlook in a few years' time. Years ago, photo fashion used to be a sin, and then 3D used to be a sin. And now 3D is, kind of with realistic and semi-realistic art, it's a given. I was only saying to one of our concept artists in the studio earlier today that I don't know any concept artist that doesn't use 3D anymore.
Do you ever find that you fall on sort of a happy accident and then go, oh, that's amazing, because you're in a real-time viewport?
Oh yeah, definitely. You might find that you move the camera down and you just find the most perfect shot. That's great, being able to move it around like that. I can't imagine being pure 2D anymore, where you can't have that option. That feels really limiting to me. Being able to move the camera. Sometimes I found really amazing shots, even though I've been working on the scene for a couple of days, and I've just decided, well, what happens if I set up a camera here and it's the angle?
I guess it's like just scouting on set, isn't it, really? Or being outside with a camera and sort of finding that nice composition and discovering it as if you're on the set or at location.
For example, if I have a street, I'll build out the whole street, and then I can just scout around for different camera locations, and that's really fun. And being able at the end to do a sequence through the end of it as well and hand that into the client is really great. They're always so shocked, that you can do that and hand that in, and it still looks exactly like the concept art somehow.
Sure.
It delights people, and I really love that. They think, we've gone above and beyond, but actually, we've done something really simple.
Set 2 keyframes.
In reality, we've done something quite simple, but we've still thought about that client experience, that they go away delighted. And that's really nice. We
had one before where I was working on a Jurassic World, one of the Jurassic World.
Oh, I'm jealous. I love Jurassic World.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? There was a concept art piece that we were given as previs. There's like gyrosphere balls that there's a volcano exploding, and then Chris Pratt's running down and he's trying to get his team into the gyrosphere, and he's getting chased by a stampede of dinosaurs. We were given a still frame of this moment just as a piece of concept art. It was just beautiful. We went to town on bringing that still frame to life, and and when the clients saw it in action, they were kind of like wowed by it. I guess now in Unreal Engine it's a lot quicker. That was Maya, that was Viewport, but the power of what you can get out of things like Unreal Engine. And
I'm sure they saw that concept art, and that was what they had in their head, and that's how they imagined the scene, and that's what they kind of built their imagination around. And then, the fact that you guys took it and delivered exactly that and made it move probably, made them so happy. There's a reason that, these pieces don't get chucked in the bin, is because somebody somewhere along the line liked something specific about it. But that was really cool for somebody to see, that progression of that key scene.
We've just touched on the Halo. My mum is a massive fan of C, the TV show C with Jason Momoa. What was it like on that? What did you sort of create for that show?
Yeah, so I was on the concept art team for that one, but I was doing a lot of landmine explosions with somebody stepping on it, which was quite hard to do for me. I don't watch war films or gory films or things like that, so that was quite difficult for me. So I had to find a way to do that, and I found that looking up exploding watermelons was the one way that I could do it and not feel really awful while doing it. But it turned out, the VFX team did such a good job with it. That was really interesting, that one, to do the VFX side of it and the VFX concept art. But you don't always get to do fantasy and sunshine and rainbows, and going into the darker side of doing stuff like that it can be, when you're on it for weeks and weeks, it can be quite tough.
Was that Unreal Engine, or was that more 2D?
So that was more 2D that time, because I had a lot of the plates. So I used so I had a lot of plates to work on that, and I love working over top of plates. Actually, it's really cool to see where the show is going. And that was quite fun.
We were in the previs world, the tech-viz world, and then we go into post-viz. That sounds a little bit more like post-viz, but for concept art. So you're taking the actual plates and then you're doing concept for the VFX, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just helping to work out how these specific explosions and body physics would work before anybody got too committed. And that was, I kind of helped out on that side of it. And then there were a few shots that we helped out on that were more like battle sequences and things like that. But I think they all involved explosions of some kind. I think that's kind of part of the whole plot of season 3. So
you're not giving any spoilers. Okay.
Somebody will come after me if I do that. Somebody won't have watched it.
I've got a note here to talk about AI concept art. That's always a bit of a sore subject at times.
Yeah, I'm in two minds with it. So, I see it as beneficial for when an art director or production designer or whoever comes to us and says, I've got this as reference, this is what I've got in my head, can you go from here onwards? And that's really useful. When it's just being used as is, there is an issue with copyright. AI isn't inherently creative. All of this isn't created in a vacuum. It's used stuff, it's used art from the internet. It's used all of our work. And that's not fair, especially when people have put blood and tears into these images.
The craft.
I feel most sorry for junior concept artists who are just coming in and they're feeling, well, I've just stepped through the door and now I'm being pushed back out by AI, and for them, that must be really quite terrifying. It's a complicated topic, isn't it?
It is absolutely. And but yeah, thanks for sharing your thoughts on it. And it is interesting to hear. What kind of advice can you give to somebody stepping into and discovering the world of concept art?
I think, like I was talking about earlier, is kind of focus on what you enjoy program-wise. Like I was saying, I spent so long worrying about what other people were doing and what they were using that I forgot to just kind of enjoy myself for the sake of enjoying art. And I think that's really important, that you kind of don't, delve too deep into social media, like seeing what another junior concept artist might be doing, because you don't really know, it's like Instagram. Somebody might post one photo of themselves, but they've actually taken 1,000 and they've chosen the best one. They've curated it, but you don't know what other people have, their journey is and things like that. And what's important is like your own. And I really struggled with that. And I think I really burned myself out on that one. Worrying about, am I progressing? Am I not progressing? And things like that. But in fact, you are always progressing. I think as long as you keep going and keep trying to learn, even if you watch a 10-minute YouTube video, you're still progressing in some sort of way. And I think, it's just comes back to that being kind to yourself and being fair to yourself. Definitely.
That's really good advice. Any advice for people sort of balancing full-time work with personal projects? Is that something that you've experienced yourself in the past or at the moment?
Yeah, I definitely did in the past. And nowadays I try to loop in my personal work still with the business side of it. If I do a piece, it gets used for marketing purposes. I try to loop it in. But back when I was a freelancer, I found when I was on the C stuff, I found it really helpful to work on something that was, the total opposite to what I was working on, or something that I really wanted to work on, just to try and keep myself inspired and feeling, creative, and still learning and still using different packages and just, because it doesn't have to be concept art. It doesn't have to be whatever field you're in. You could just do a personal piece that's just a 3D asset or a short film or anything you like. It doesn't have to be presented to anyone at the end of the day. It's just supposed to be for your own enjoyment and the love that you have for what you do.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks for your time, because that was really interesting. And we've had a concept artist on in the past, and it's great to catch up with another concept artist like yourself. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me as well.
Pleasure, Ellie. Thank you very much, man.
You too. See you later.
Okay. Take care. Have a good one. Bye, Ellie.